Okay, today we are learning about the different types of art that we see. I know that a lot of times if we're in a museum or maybe we're looking through a book or if we are searching the web, we see art that makes sense to us. It looks like real life, and then some of it just looks kind of crazy, and it makes us say, like, what is that? Or maybe we think like, oh, that looks like something that like a fifth grader could have made, or it's just lines. So we're going to talk about the three different types of art so that way we can understand them and why artists create them a little bit better. So before we can talk about that, we need to talk about our first vocab word, which is subject matter. So subject matter is the images in an artwork. It's the picture or the things that you see. So here in this artwork, we have two men who are sitting in their regular everyday clothes on two red chairs, and there is kind of a wallpaper floral background. So that's the subject matter. Those are the things that we can see in this artwork. It's kind of the picture. Now, with our different types of art, artists are doing different things with their subject matter. So in our first type, representational art, this is art that depicts the real world so you can recognize its subject matter. So those pictures, we can clearly tell what they are. This is also called naturalistic or realistic. So this is oftentimes the type of art that we understand the best because it's, painted or created in a way that looks realistic to us. So here in this artwork, we have a still life of fruit, curtains, tablecloths, and a picture. We can tell what this artist was looking at when they were painting this artwork. Now, our second type of art is abstract art. And this is art that takes real subject matter and purposely changes it in one of these four ways. So we have that same subject matter, but we are choosing not to paint it or draw it like real life. We are changing it on purpose. So we can distort it, we can simplify, we can exaggerate, or fragment it. So you can tell what they're depicting, but it doesn't exactly look like real life. So here we can tell that the subject matter in this painting by Aaron Douglas, there's obviously a person. They're holding maybe a staff, and there's a kind of that yellow jagged shape in the sky. So maybe we think that's the sun. And then towards the bottom, there's a row of shapes that look like houses on the ground. So we can see what the subject matter is here, but Aaron Douglas is choosing to purposely distort this man, right? His shoulders are extra kind of pointy, and his features are more angular than real life. He's also simplifying this person down to just an outline. So this is abstract art. It's changed on purpose, but we can still kind of pick out subject matter. So why do artists do this? So this is oftentimes the hardest thing for us to wrap our brains around, is if artists can paint things that are representational, if they look realistic, why would they choose to do something that's abstract? And one of those reasons is maybe they just want to focus on one specific part of their subject matter. So here in this painting, sometimes we can use titles to help us. This is called Right Bird Left. And when we start to think about the title and look at the artwork together, maybe we can pick out things that look like tropical leaves, like maybe this is set in a jungle, or maybe we start to see some, things that look like eyes, or some bright, colorful feather shapes. So maybe Lee Krasner just wanted to focus on the shapes and colors and textures of tropical birds rather than just doing a painting of birds. Instead, she created this abstract, almost like decorative pattern. So maybe they want to focus on one specific part of their subject matter, not the whole thing, but just doing something different with their subject matter. The second reason why artists might abstract their artworks is to express emotions. We know that we can use art to kind of work through our own emotions and thoughts and ideas, and sometimes artists visually depict those things as well. So this artwork here by Willem de Kooning, I have a quote for you. He said, "I'm not interested in abstracting or taking things out or reducing painting to design, form, line, and color." So he doesn't want to abstract for the ways that Lee Krasner is abstracting, reducing her birds to shapes and colors and textures. Willem de Kooning says, "I paint this way because I can keep putting more things in it: drama, anger, pain, love, a figure, a horse, my ideas about space. Through your eyes, it again becomes an emotion or an idea." And I think that he's doing a really good job here in this artwork of expressing his emotions. Yes, he could have painted a woman that looked angry, but the way that he chose to physically paint this artwork also communicates anger. If we think about being Willem de Kooning and using a paintbrush on this canvas, it would look really fast and hurried and kind of like angry, right? And we can get that from the rough way that he painted the woman and the background. So he's not only depicting that through his subject matter, but also the way that he's physically painting this abstract artwork. So reducing things to focus on subject matter or to abstract and express emotions. Those are two of our main reasons. There's definitely more reasons, but those are two good ones to talk about. Now, our third and final type of art is non-representational. So this is the exact opposite of representational art. It does not try to replicate any real subjects. There's no subject matter. They're not creating from life. They're not abstracting. This is just a composition with just elements and principles. Now, oftentimes people call this type of art that does not look like anything from real life abstract. And that's not the correct art term for it. This is non-representational. Sometimes it's also called non-objective, but non-representational, no subject matter. So here we have shapes, colors, lines. We are just using our elements and principles to create an artwork. Two reasons why artists might do this as well. So some artists just want to create art that is pure and simple, so we don't have any birds, there's no humans, there's no emotions, none of that stuff. We just want to create art that's pure and simple: lines, shapes, textures, colors. Our second reason is they want to create artwork that has aesthetic value and no subject. And when we talk about aesthetic and aesthetic value, your aesthetic as a person is what you see as beautiful, valuable, and worthy, and that's different for each of us. My aesthetic value is different from your aesthetic value. The things that I think are beautiful and valuable to me are different from the things that are beautiful and valuable to you. And so sometimes artists create artworks that they just think they just look good. Like this artwork here, no subject matter, just paint on a canvas, different colors and values and textures, something that, I might think is beautiful, but maybe you don't necessarily think is beautiful, and that's okay. So when we kind of think about this all together, the scale from really, really, really representational art, we could call this like realism or hyper-realism. This is a painting. It's not a photo, but it looks just like real life. Sometimes there's some gray areas on this scale of representational to non-representational. This artwork here, we can still tell that this is a bowl of fish on a table with a bunch of plants in the background, but it does not look exactly like real life. So the levels of abstraction can kind of progress more and more abstract. We have our Scream artwork here, which looks very much not like real life, but we can still pick out the subject matter. And then sometimes it gets a little bit confusing when there are artworks that are in fact abstract, like their subject matter, but we just don't know about it, or it's hard for us to see. Like this artwork here, this artist does a lot of subject matter about she uses maps and statistical data, and she kind of layers them on top of each other. And you wouldn't know that unless you read about this artwork, you read the museum label, or you read like an article about it. So to us, this might look non-representational, but in fact, there is subject matter. So just know that there's kind of a lot of gray area between representational, abstract, and non-representational, but ultimately, representational, realistic, subject matter, abstract has been changed in some way, and then non-representational, no subject matter at all, just elements and principles. So those are our three types of art.